Hey everybody, better late than never. Here we are with another GMG review. Today we're taking a look at Order Battletome Seraphon, the latest digital review copy that was kindly sent to me by Games Workshop. Now, what is this? This is, of course, the Battletome from the new army set, which allows you to use new rules and updates the Seraphon to 3rd edition Age of Sigmar, and is the latest in their sort of like chain of reimaginings. Now, cool things about this box, on top of that, you also get a new Slan Mage Priest in plastic, beautiful new Saurus Warriors, and some new skink, what are they called again? Skink something. I literally just lost it. It was in my head for 2 seconds. Oh, shoot, they're originally a regiment around Cold One Riders. I don't think they're called Cold Ones anymore. I think they have like a fancy, funny name. But of course, the Warhammer names will always be the things that live and sing in my heart, which is cool because that stuff's coming back relatively soon. So let's dive right in. Of course, the Seraphon are the dreaming imaginings of the Slan. They both have the demon keyword. Typically, like historically in Age of Sigmar, they represent the fact that they are spirits. They're not necessarily alive per se, but are the memories of the Slan sort of like woven into existence out of magic, and are the order protectors of their star empire. They famously fled the old world in giant starships, which have crashed all over the mortal realms. And of course is the scene set for the latest Gnarlwood campaign in Gur, where there's a giant crash spaceship in the middle of a massive living jungle that the Seraphon are defending. So let's jump in with the allegiance abilities and talk about the Starborn battle traits. Whenever you pick a Seraphon army, you can pick one of the 2 different sort of selectable keywords for your Starborn constellation they're born under. Either the Dracathonian's Tail constellation or the Fangs of Sotek, each of which have their own sort of unique army construction rules that you get to play under. They are the Lords of Space and Time, and so this 3rd edition reimagining allows you to take the following heroic actions with your Slan, and that is Contemplation of the Ancient Ones. You can pick a friendly Starborn Slan and replace a spell that they know with another one, so you can basically swap your spell out. And then Spatial Translocation, pick one friendly Starborn Slan, and then pick one other Starborn unit wholly within 12 of them, remove that Starborn unit from the battlefield, and set up anywhere more than 9 random units, and they can't move in the following movement phase. Basically, he just imagines they're somewhere else. Good job, big giant Hypnotoad. So then you got your Cosmic Power. If you have a Starborn army, the following are considered to be cosmic nodes. And it's funny, I think the Starborn keyword would exist in the previous book, but it's the driving keyword now for the army. Which I guess is handy for cutting out legacy units that have the Seraphon keyword, which is kind of interesting. So friendly Starborn wizard units are considered to be cosmic nodes. Your Astrolith Bear is considered to be one, and friendly Starborn Realm Shaper Engine faction terrain features. So your big like cosmic wheel. During the battle, you'll be able to receive cosmic power points, your CPPs, not just CPs. You begin the battle with 0. At the start of your hero phase, you receive 1 cosmic power point for every friendly wizard or Starborn Astrolith Bear on the table. In addition, you receive a cosmic power point each time a friendly Starborn wizard successfully casts a spell. It's not unbound, or unbinds a spell successfully, or dispels an endless spell. So basically, do something magic, get a CPP, which is funny because the CPP, I don't want to say CPP because here in my country it means Canada Pension Plan, and it's the deduction off your paycheck every month. So CPP means something else. That's why I can't use the acronym. I can't do it. And then you can spend them, so you must spend 5 Cosmic Power Points to use your ability, which is called Azer Light. You can return D3 slain models to each friendly Starborn unit with a wounds characteristic of 1 or 2 that's wholly within 12 of any friendly cosmic nodes, and then you roll separately for each unit. Each of these abilities basically is in your hero phase. You can only use the ability if you have enough Cosmic Power Points, and you can't use the same one more than once each phase. So hero phase, there's 3 different ones. You can use each one once, up to 15 points spent. You get Protection of the Old Ones, your second one. It's 10 cosmic points for that one. Until the start of your next hero phase, units affected by the Revivifying Energies ability have a ward of 5 instead of 6. Cleanse the Realms. You must spend 15 cosmic power points to this ability. Roll a dice for each enemy unit within 12 of any friendly cosmic nodes, and on a 2+, they suffer a number of mortal wounds equal to the roll. So, holy crap. Your nodes just explode. Just, you're within 12 of me, take 2d6 mortal wounds. Ugh. Oh, sorry, D6 mortal wounds rather. It's 2+, right? So the one fails, but D6 mortal wounds is no joke. D6 mortal wounds are insane, and also you wouldn't be able to fail. And then finally, at the end of the movement phase, you can spend your cosmic power points to summon 1 unit from the following list and add to your army. Each unit you summon costs the number of cosmic power points shown on the list, so you do reduce them. And you can only summon if you have enough to do so. Units must be set more than 9 from enemy units and more than within 12 of a cosmic node, so wholly within 12. You got Engine of the Gods, Stegodons, Bastiladons, Agrodon Lancers, I think that's the name of the big guys, Source Guards, Source Warriors, Croxagore Warspawn, Croxagore, Raptidon Hunters, that's what they're called, Raptidons now, Raptidon Chargers, a spawn of Chotek, a Hunters of Huan Chi with Dark Pipes, so you can actually use the cool new stuff from the War Cry box set. Pterodon Riders, Riperdactyl Riders, Hunters of Huan Chi with Starstone Bolas, and then Terrorwings and Skinks. And it's Engine of the Gods costs you 30, and then most monsters it goes 28, 24, 22 for Lancers and Guard, 20 for Source Warriors, 18 for any Croxagore, 16 for Raptidons, 12 for Hunters, 10 for Riperdactyls, 10 for Hunters with Bolas, 8 for Terrorwings, and 8 for Stinks. So it's like you're balancing, like you will be casting all the spells and dispelling all the spells, but like you're balancing using the cool 3 abilities in the hero phase and also summoning units if you want to bring back. All right, not a ton of enhancements. You get 4 command traits for Slans, 3 for Skinks. So the Starmaster Discipline is the Slans. You get Arcane Might. You can control up to 3 Predatory Endless spells per hero phase. In addition, when you cast and summon an endless spell, the range of the spell is doubled. So you get a big slingshot for your endless spells. Higher State of Consciousness. Ignore modifiers positive and negative to save rolls for attacks target this general. Lord of the Celestial Resonance. Each time this general successfully casts a spell, it's unbound, successfully unbinds a spell, or successfully dispels an endless spell, you receive 2 cosmic power points instead of 1. So you double your amount of... I mean, that's the one. If you're going to get all these free abilities and summon more units, and summoning units is probably the most powerful ability these guys have, it doesn't usually lean into pitched battle like battle tactics, because it's usually starting units for those. But being able to hold zones is the game in Age of Sigmar 3. So like, yeah, just with your Slan who can like cast and unbind a gajillion times, having 3 or doubling your amount of CPPs that you earn is huge. And then Vast Intellect, no 2 extra spells from Lord of Celestial Domination. Considering that you can just change them for heroic action, I don't see why you'd ever bother with that one. That feels like just an extraneous ability. And then your attendant abilities for the Skinks. Master of Star Rituals for Skink Wizard. The general knows all the spells from the Lord of Celestial Manipulation, in addition to any other spells that they know. Nimble War Leader, roll 2d6 instead of d6 when making run rolls for friendly Skinks, wholly within 18. That's actually a really useful ability if you get an extra, enhancement, and you're going to have one, like a Skink not wizard in your army. Although I guess you could do it for anyone, because it's just Skinks. And then Shrewd Strategist. Once per battle at the start of your opponent's combat phase, pick a friendly Seraphon unit wholly within 18 of the general. If that unit's within 12 of any enemy units, more than 3 from all enemy units, it can immediately attempt a charge. So that's also pretty cool, just slingshot a shot of charge in. I think Nimble War Leader and Shrewd Strategist are kind of like, if you're like, for your one Slan, you're probably taking Resonance or Higher State of Consciousness. Yeah, the Endless Spell, Arcane Might and Vast Intellect don't seem worth it compared to the other 2. And then Nimble War Leader and Shrewd Strategist could both be super useful as like a backup enhancement. Artifacts, your Treasures of the Old Ones. There are 4. I like that it's not fixed at 6 anymore, so you just have like good ones. Again, I also like that they're not divided up by their extra constellations. Relocation Orb. Once per battle at the end of the phase, the bearer has any wounds allocated to them in that phase. You can just take them away and put them anywhere within 12 of a cosmic node and more than 9 from enemy units. Just like blink out of existence. The Prism of Amintok. Once per battle at the start of the phase. Again, that's going to be super handy for your Slan. Prism of Amintok. Once per battle at the start of the phase, pick an enemy unit wholly within 12 of the bearer and roll a die. On a 1, nothing happens. On a 2+, the enemy unit suffers a number of mortal wounds equal to the roll. So it's basically a freebie version of what you can do with CPPs. The Zoetic Dial. After deployment, but before the first battle round begins, secretly record the number of the number of a battle round on a piece of paper. At the start of the battle round, reveal the information and heal all wounds allocated to the bearer. In addition, during that battle round, add 1 to save rolls for attacks. Yeah, that seems real good. Writing 3 or 4 and then just get everything back and then being super hard to kill. You know, like if you've bubble wrapped your slant appropriately, you're probably not going to get attacked or slingshotted into, depending upon the army. There's some armies that can probably get to him no matter what, just because they have long bombing flying chargers and stuff like that. But then you just change the number that you write because it's not fixed. And then the Spacefarer Folder's Stave. Once returned at the end of your movement phase, if the bear's on the battlefield, you can say that they will guide the arrival of their celestial reinforcements. If you do so, the next friendly Starborn unit to be set up in the battlefield can be set up more than 7 from enemy units instead of 9. So you basically get a Lord Imperatant deep strike, which is pretty cool. Again, the Zodiac Dial seems like a no-brainer. The Bamf Away you can kind of do with just imaginations in the hero phase, but it's cool. It's also a cool get out of jail free card. The Prism you can do with CPP, so I don't see why you would take that if you can do it just for points you earn during the game. It's fighting against the fact that you can still do it, you know what I mean, later in the game. Vestments of the Priesthood, Incandescent Rhetorices. At the start of your phase, these are for skinks. Heal D3 when allocated to the bearer. At sort of each hero phase, sorry. So he's like a little, he just grows his tail back. He's a little salamander. The Sacred Stegodon Helm. +1 saves, in addition, +1 to damage to your melee weapons if you make a charge roll in the same turn, because you just hit them with your head. And the Cloak of Feathers. Units that don't have the monster keyword, you're -1 to hit rolls for attacks, and you add 4 to your move bear and your movement, and you can fly, because you flap your Cloak of Wings. I like there's an old miniature for that, and it actually still works. And then we get basically the 2 different wizard types, Slan Magic and then Skink Magic. So Slans get the Celestial Domination lore, and a total of 5 spells. And Comet's Call it casts on 7. Pick D3 different enemy units on the battlefield, just no range. If you roll 10 plus, up to D6 instead. Each of those units takes D3 mortal wounds. Just drop the Comet. It's the Comet of Cassandora. I like that still exists. Teapot's Beneficence. I think I said that word right. Casts on 5 and has a range of 18. If cast, pick a friendly skink unit wholly within range invisible until the start of your next hero phase. Subtract 1 from wound rolls. Basically, make your skinks harder to kill. Skinks are real easy to kill. I mean, there's no toughness in this game, but still, they have hollow bones. Drain Magic, cast on 6. If cast until the end of the phase, add 1 to dispelling rolls made by friendly units and subtract 1 from unbinding rolls made by enemy units. And then Mystical Unforging, it's a spell that has a casting value of 8 and a range of 12. If cast, pick 1 enemy unit within range invisible to the caster, and then the rend of their weapons is treated as dash. Holy moly, that's incredible. That can affect certain armies in a massive way. Some armies won't care. Some armies are going to have a real hard time getting through your source's skin at that point. And then Stellar Tempest, cast on 8, range 24 inches. Pick an enemy unit within range invisible, and then roll dice equal to the number of models in the unit. Every 5 plus, take a mortal wound. So it's like you can do the Comet and hit a whole bunch of units if you get a 10 plus, or just D3 if you get a regular roll. Or you can just hard roll an 8 and then explode the 1 unit like that's huge on 5s. Just reduce it by a third, basically, if they're 1 wound. And then Skink Wizards, including your unique units, you get Cosmic Crush, cast on 7, range 12, pick an enemy unit within range invisible, roll number is equal to the number of models in the unit. For every roll that equals or exceeds their save, they take a mortal wound. That one's real interesting because it gets inherently better the tougher your armies are. Right? All those 2+ save units and 3+ save units are going to hate that spell because it's better. The better your save is, like the army that hates this the most probably is Lumineth. They have a lot of 1 wound decent save units that are just going to get obliterated. Same with Dwarden. A lot of those. Celestial Hammers, cast on 5, range 18. Pick a friendly Seraphon unit wholly within range invisible. If it was a 10 plus, pick all friendly Seraphon units wholly within range invisible. Into your next hero phase, they're Bravery 10. That's pretty cool. And then Speed of Wan Chi, it's cast on 6, range 18. Pick a friendly Kroxigor or Skink unit that's not a monster, that's wholly within range invisible, and they can just make a normal move. So the Bravery one's cool, Cosmic Crush is incredible, and then Speed of Wan Chi could be actually probably the one. Like, I think you always try and have Cosmic Crush in your list, and then Speed of Wan, because there's going to be 1 unit at least that will not like that spell. And then Speed of Wan Chi is going to be, I think, a kind of a no-brainer. The Celestial Harmony is, sorry, it's not Hammer, it's Harmony. Like, I saw Azer there, and I was like, it'll be a Hammer. No, it's a Harmony. The Celestial Harmony feels also like it could be good for like your big block units if you have like a bubble wrapping unit, like, you know, thick unit of like warriors and stuff. And your skink wizards are cheap, so having multiples is probably not a big deal. All right, your two different army types. You get the Dracothian's Tail. They can appear on command during deployment. This is a bit like the two versions of taking a Stormcast army. During deployment, instead of setting up a Dracothian's Tail unit in the battlefield, you can place it to one side and say that it's set up in the temple ship in reserve. You can set up one unit for every one on the table, and then they deep strike in. Literally the exact same as the Storm Strike for the Stormcast. And then Fangs of Sotek. The commanding player of the Fangs of Sotek army can use the redeploy command ability up to 3 times in each of the opponent's movement phases. In addition, the first 2 times it's used, no command points are spent. Man, like, the ability to deep strike your units in is cool, like 1-to-1. It's a cool ability that Stormcast have too. But Fangs of Sotek, having 2 free CPs every round to redeploy in your opponent's movement phase, that's massive. That's a huge deal. And it's free twice to skinks, not to other units, but like, your skinks are your bubble wrap, right? They're your cheap bubble wrap. They're the ones you want to get in the way of stuff and spread out to make sure that chargers, like flyers, can't land behind you. That's a very cool ability. I don't know. You're going to get one of those too. So you build an army around probably what the choice is. And then the Coalesced battle traits. So these are the, so that was the first 2 basically. That was for the Starborn, or the Starborn constellations. So that was for the basic guys. Now the Coalesced are on the other side of this, and they are the Coalesced version of the army. You can pick one of the following subfactions for your army. All Coalesced units in your army gain the keyword of the subfaction you choose. This is the other half of it, like if you're taking basically like the all-monster army without like being tons of slans. You can take them as Coatl's Claw or the Thunder Lizards, and this is your ability to make like a big fighty army of like big monsters and less slans, more, like war leader general types. And the flip side, of course, is the whatchamacallit, the Starborn. All right, so Coalesced, the Predatory Fighter, add 1 to bite rolls for Coalesced Saurus and Croc units. With the Mighty Saurus Jaws are Vice-like Jaws. So basically you get +1 to hit all the time with those. And then Scaly Skin, subtract 1 from the damage inflicted by each successful attack that targets a friendly Coalesced Saurus, Croc, or monster. And then Beast of the Dark Jungles, when you carry out the Monster Rampage with a Coalesced monster, you can carry out one of the Monster Rampages below. Instead of any other Monster Rampage you can carry out with that unit. You get either Gargantuan Jaws. You can carry out this Monster Rampage, pick one enemy model within 3 of the unit and roll a die. If it's greater than their wounds characteristic, you're slain. You just bite somebody. It's Carnosaur only. Then Stegodon gets Earth-Shaking Charge. Pick an enemy unit within 1 of the unit and roll a die. On a 4+, their strike last. You get Odious Roar for your Troglodon. Roll a dice on a 2+ at the end of the combat phase. Until the end of the combat phase, the range of your Stench of Death is 12 inches instead of 9. And then finally, the Bludgeoning Sweep for the Bastiladon. Pick an enemy unit within 3 inches of this unit that is not a monster and roll a dice. You basically sweep the leg with the tail. If the roll is less than the number of models in the enemy unit, the unit suffers a number of mortal wounds equal to the roll. So you just like bash through units with D6 mortal wounds. As long as there's more than 6 guys, you just do D6 mortal wounds, which is amazing. All right, so your enhancements for the Coalesced, for Slans, you get the Wrath of Aeons. Once per battle at the start of your combat phase, you can say that the general will rouse the Wrath of the Seraphon. If you do so until the end of the phase, add 1 of the attack characteristic of melee weapons used by friendly Saurus and Croc units that are wholly within 12. It's almost an attack. Custodian of the Divine Technology, pick 2 artifacts of power from the treasures of the temple cities. And note them on your roster. The general has both these artifacts of power, but they cannot be given to any others. These 2 artifacts of power in addition to the first artifact of power enhancements you can take for your army. So one of your enhancements for your Slan is just have 3 magic items. And then Master the Material Plane, 2 extra spells from the Lord of Arcane Domains. And then Dominating Mind. Once returned at the start of your hero phase, you can pick 1 friendly Coalesced monster unit in the battlefield and say that it will have its mind dominated by the general. If you do so, roll a die on a 2+, add 1 to wound rolls for its attacks with melee weapons until the start of your next hero phase. If the unit picked has mind dominated has a mount, it only applies to the bearer. If it has a mount, this command trait only affects the attacks made by the unit's mount. So you can't actually take over the rider then. And then your Source Commander, you get Savage Commanders. Prime Warbeast, unit with mount only, add 1 of the attack characteristics of its general's mount. So basically like all the melee weapons, all weapons, not even just melee weapons, for your mount to get +1 attack. Thickly Scaled Hide, +1 saves. And then Vengeful Defender, at the start of your hero phase, if the general is wholly within your territory, you can pick the general and up to 2 other friendly source or crack score units within 12 of the general to make a normal move. So again, fighty Slan and fighty Source heroes as opposed to these skinks, the more fast-moving army for the Starborn. All right, your artifacts of power, Treasure of the Temple Cities for Slan only. Throne of the Lost Gods, +4 move and +1 wound. Crystalline Skull. The bearer starts with a power reserve of 0. Each time the bearer successfully casts a spell that's not unbound, increase its power reserve by 1. And then once per battle in your hero phase, you can say that the bearer will shatter the Crystalline Skull. If you do so, pick an enemy unit within 12 of the bearer, and roll a number of dice equal to the power reserve. For every 3+, the unit suffers the mortal wound. Itchy Grubs. So for each hero phase, you can heal a wound allocated to the bearer. In addition, if your hero phase, you can reroll 1 cast roll, 1 dispelling roll for the bearer, and the enemy hero phase, you can reroll an unbinding roll for the bearer. And then a Coatl Familiar. Once per battle at the start of your hero phase, you can say that the bearer will be blessed by Tepok. If you do so, the bearer can attempt to cast an additional spell in that hero phase, and that spell can be any spell from the lore of Ancient Domains, so an extra spell. Yeah, Throne of the Lost Gods, like none of these are quite as cool as the Starborn ones. I do like the Itchy Grubs just because they're every hero phase. They're both hero phases. In addition, rerolling casting and dispelling rolls for the bearer and unbinding rolls is amazing. So I think the build-up power, it doesn't work immediately, so it inherently has less value. An extra wound's cool, but an extra wound back in every phase is even better. Like you could take 1 extra wound all in one go, or every turn just every hero phase, get a wound back. Itchy Grubs just feel like they just win. And then I don't like anything that's once per battle compared to, unless it's really powerful. All right, and then Relics of the Warrior for your Source. I mean, I guess if you take the 1 command trait, you could have Itchy Grubs, the Familiar, and the Throne of the Gods, which makes you pretty tough. Or Itchy Grubs, Crystalline Skull, and Throne of the Gods. Yeah, that feels right. I don't see... Because again, to master the mortal material plane, you can just switch your spells out. So why no 2 extra ones? Wrath of Aeons is cool. I think I'd rather just stay alive. I think taking 3 magic items is probably best. And then Relics of the Warrior for your Saurus. Sodex Gaze. Enemy models with 2 wounds, with a wound characteristic of 1 or 2 cannot contest objectives while they're within 6 of the bearer. That's incredible. So you just run into a big pack of guys and be like, no, I want a Croxor, I want a Carnosaur, and you don't do anything. Blood Rage Pendant, +1 attack to your melee weapons, and if the number of the wounds allocated to the bearer is equal to the greater than half their wound characteristic, add 2 instead. Because you freak out and get angrier. And then Blade of Realities, pick one of the bearer's melee weapons, improve the rend characteristic of that weapon by 1. In addition, add 1 of the damage damage inflicted by each successful attack by a weapon that targets the hero. So basically, when you fight heroes, you get better, and your rend goes up by 1 on 1 of your weapons, and you're +1 to your damage if you're fighting another hero. I think Sodex Gaze is just like more useful. Again, it's just like I said earlier, summoning units or keeping units off objectives is the game in third, so just being able to be like, no, you can't contest this objective because I'm here and I'm enormous. And then you get your Coalesced spell lores. So the Earth Trembles is the first one, you get 5. If the spell has a casting value of 8, if you cast it, pick one of the corners of the battlefield and draw a straight line between that corner and the closest part of your base. Roll a number of dice for each enemy unit passed over by the line on a 4+ take D3 mortal wounds. So if you line that up, you can hit a lot of units with that. Again, it's not as good as like just D3 units in the battlefield get hit by comets, but it's still pretty good. And it could potentially be more if you put your slant in the right spot, right? Empowered Celestite has a spell that has a casting value of 7 and a range of 18. If you cast it, pick a friendly Source unit wholly within range and visible. And until the start of the next hero phase, improve the rend characteristic of that unit's Celestite weapons by 1. It is any weapon that has the Celestite in the name. Drain Magic's the same. Itzy's Invigoration. Cast on 6, range 12. Pick one friendly monster wholly within range and visible, and then you use their top bracket for damage. And then finally, Telepathic Summons. Casting value of 6 and a range of 9. Pick a friendly Source that's not a monster unit, invisible. Remove them from the battlefield and set it up on the battlefield wholly within range of the caster. It's just visible. So basically you look at something that's a Saurus and be like, not a monster, and be like, you guys, go over here. And just put them next to you. Lore of the Primal Jungles for your Skink Wizards. You get the Light of Chotek, casts on 7, range 12. Pick a friendly Seraphon model, wholly within range. Oh, they are still the Seraphon keywords, because it was the Starborn is the 2 selectable keywords that you can have. If successfully cast, pick a friendly Seraphon model, wholly within range and visible to the caster. Roll number of dice equal to the number of wounds allocated to it, and for each 5, plus heal 1 wound allocated to the model. So basically just grow back. Heavenly Frenzy, cast on 7, range 18. If you cast it, pick a friendly Seraphon unit, wholly within range and visible. They can run and still charge. And then Tide of Serpents, cast on 7, range 15. Pick an enemy unit within range and visible. And then roll number of dice equal to the number of models unit for a 5+ take a mortal wound, which is the same as the other one. Not Coalesced, the Starborn, Star people. Not Coalesced. Starborn. You want to say Star Searched. And then your 2 selectable keywords, you have Coattl's Claw and Thunder Lizard. For Coattl's Claw, it's add 1 to wound rolls for attacks made with melee weapons by friendly Coattl's Claw Saurus and Crocscore units that made a charge in the same turn. And then Thunder Lizards, add to the Mighty Beasts of War. At the end of the charge phase, you can carry out 2 monster rampages with every Thunder Lizard monster instead of 1. Which is pretty cool, because it means that if you have 4 monsters that all made a charge, or all in combat, like your Bastiladons could sweep the leg and also stomp, or they could roar and sweep the leg. Like you basically have access to all, like you Titanic Duel, you know what I mean? Like you get a whole bunch of options there. If you're gonna go monsters, Thunder Lizards feels like the way to go. But if you're gonna go infantry, like getting +1 to wound rolls is also huge, because you're winning on 2s for the most part. All right, so let's jump in and look at some profiles. So again, of those 4 possibilities, they're all pretty tailored. And there's some crossover too between like Drain Magic being on both of them having access to like a pick a unit, and they all take a mortal wound on a 5+. The immortal like extra wound, extra movement, get a wound back every phase slan for taking that 1 enhancement feels right. And then just the raw magical power and summoning potential, the other one also feels right. I don't think there's a best one here. And again, this is the kind of siloing that actually works because it's based on model types, not on just like a very restricted model type. You can still use all the miniatures effectively on both sides of the wheel. It's more just like, what are you leaning into? That I don't mind this type of, because it's not really siloing, it's just giving this like the same core stuff to both sides, but then actually having a theme for the other side, but not restricting you from really being able to use stuff either. And what I mean by that is, you get that keyword automatically for everything, so it doesn't like, it's not like some other books where it's like only this, like Virkos, like only this specific keyword gets to have access to this stuff. It's still just Skink, Saurus, Slan. You know, you can give it to whoever, and then if you're a monster, you get cooler stuff, etc., etc. So it's a good bit of writing. All right, match play stuff. Grand strategies. You have 4 options. There's the Realm Shaper Guard. When the battle ends, you complete this grand strategy if you have a Coalesced Realm Shaper engine or Starborn Realm Shaper engine on the battlefield, and there's no enemy models within 12 of it, and it was not affected by a smashed Rebel Monster Rampage. So basically, your terrain piece is not damaged. It's pretty easy. Not a lot of people think to go after it. Repel Corruption. Enemy units in your territory. A lot harder to do. And then Continuous Expansion. When the battlefield ends, you complete this grand strategy if there's at least 1 friendly Seraphon unit wholly within range of each large quarter of the battlefield. And then further the Great Plan. When the battle ends, you've done 4 more of your bespoke battle tactics. I think Realm Shaper Guardians, there's a lot of you can manipulate that to your advantage. If you just want to have 3 at the end of the game, I mean, its abilities are cool, but you can just stick it somewhere really inaccessible where there's really not a lot of point for a monster to go without being taken out of the battle for like 2 or 3 turns. Guard it relatively effectively and just have someone outside of 12 of it, and you're going to score those 3 points. So yeah, that feels like if you're going to take one that isn't just like the core ones, like have a wizard alive, which still just seems better because your Slan doesn't want to die anyway, right? Like, have a wizard from your starting army alive at the end of the game. Yeah, just don't lose your Slan, because if you lost your Slan, you probably lost anyway. I'm still not a fan of like, you have to do these bespoke ones. But let's look at the bespoke ones. There's 6 different battle tactics you can choose from. There's the Stampede of Scales. Pick 3 friendly Seraphon monsters. So again, you have to have 3 monsters in your army now. You complete this tactic if each of those monsters runs in the following movement phase and finishes that run within 6 inches of at least one of the other units you picked from wholly within the enemy territory. So basically, it's the old like Furious Advance. 3 monsters have to run and all be near each other in enemy territory. Like, sure. If you're going to play the monster army, then yeah, that's an easy no-brainer. It can't be stopped, really. Celestial Obliteration. Pick 1 enemy unit in the battlefield. You complete this tactic if that unit's destroyed by mortal wounds caused by a spell or an endless spell. Cool. Also, quite possible. Overwhelming numbers. Pick an objective controlled by the enemy. Complete this tactic if at the end of the turn you control it. And everyone contesting it's a skink. So, that one you could kind of pick up if someone controls an objective and walks away from it, and your skinks just walk over and be like, that's mine now. Or the slan just imagines them over there. So again, not hard to do potentially. You just need to have like cleared the objective already. Apex Predator, pick an enemy monster. You complete this tactic at the end of the turn. If that enemy unit was destroyed by an attack made by a friendly Seraphon monster. And then Cold-Blooded Resilience. Pick a friendly Source Crocscore or Crocscore unit within 3 inches of the enemy. You complete this tactic at the end of the turn if that unit was not destroyed, did not retreat, and was not removed from the battlefield. So, yeah, I mean, that one, if you're just fighting one guy and you're still there at the end of the turn, that one could be easy as well. And then Pack Hunters, pick an enemy unit within 3 of only one friendly Agrodon unit. You complete this tactic if at the end of the turn that unit was within 3 of 2 or more friendly Agrodon units. So you have to get another unit into combat. So, yeah, I mean, most of them require units you're going to take anyway. But you have to have, your opponent has to have a monster for the Apex Predator to go off. You have to have like an objective you can steal with skinks. You have to have skinks to do it. So again, they're cool, they're thematic. I think they're low-hanging fruit, but you don't really plan on more than 3 of them being possible based on your army composition. And then you have access to the core battalion called a Thunderquake, which is just monsters. A Stegodon Chief, and Bastoodon or a Stegodon, and then up to 2 units of Croxagores, 1 Engine of the Gods, and 1 Spawn of Chotek of your choice. And they have the Swift, so free at the double, and Slayers, free all at attack once per game as their ability. And that's it, that's their only core battalion abilities. All right, let's get into some War Scrolls and see what's new and different. Starting with the Lord Croak, because he's still in here. He is exactly the same core stat-wise. He has his force barrier, but it's all just C below now. He flies, yep. He's a War Master now, so he can do his, like, I'm still the general. But he can have another general, too. He can cast 4 and bind 4. If he's part of a Starborn army. If he's whatever army he's part of, he knows all the spells. And then he's an Arcane Vassal. I think it's basically the same. When this unit attempts to cast a spell, before making the casting roll, you can pick a friendly Skink Wizard within 12 of this unit, or 1 friendly Oracle anywhere on the battlefield, and it goes through them. Azerite Force Barrier. Each time this unit attacks, roll 1 dice for each enemy unit within range. Roll 5 dice instead of 1 for every monster. On a 5+, take a mortal wound. Just like, it's just a gun. It's a 3-inch gun. He just melts people because he's a zombie, right? Like he's a mummy. Dead for a long time. At the end of each phase, if any wounds are allocated to this model, roll 3d6 and add the number of wounds allocated to the roll. If it's 20+, he's dead. Otherwise, he heals all his wounds. Impeccable Foresight. You roll 3 dice for every 4+ in your hero phase, get a command point. Supreme Master of Order. Add 2 to casting, dispelling, and unbinding rolls. And you can just do it anywhere on the battlefield. You can unbind enemy spells anywhere and dispel spells from anywhere. The Golden Death Mask, start of the combat phase, you can pick 1 enemy unit within 12 invisible, roll 2d6. If it's less than their bravery, then it's equal to, or higher than their bravery, then they strike last. And Celestial Deliverance, cast on 7, range 12. This unit can attempt to cast a spell multiple times in your hero phase. Each time it's successfully cast, pick 3 different enemy units, and they take DC mortal wounds. Cool. He's still a machine gun of endless wounds, potentially. Up to 3 times, you can cast it 4 times. Yeah, I mean, he's still Lord Croak. He does what Lord Croak does. He's not super interesting because he's just basically a giant gun. But he's still cool. The Slan Starmaster. How have you changed? So the Star Master, this is the, I believe, Coalesced one. No, it's either side. Never mind. He's like more mobile and fightier. Gain 2 wounds, that's cool. Everything else looks like it's the same. His lightning, 6 stacks, 3s to hit now. Still flies, cast and bind 3. Still has Arcane Vassal, gets 2 dice for extra command points instead of 3. Has command ability Gift from the Heavens. It's basically in your hero phase, the command can only be issued by this unit, and the unit receives it must be Seraphon. Into next hero phase, the unit can fly. In addition, add 1 to its save rolls against missile weapons. Master of Order, +1 at casting, dispelling, unbinding. Can do it anywhere in the battlefield. Celestial Equilibrium, cast on 6. Add 1 of the cast rolls for friendly wizards other than this caster. And then Shield of the Old Ones, cast on 7. They get a 4+ word against mortal wounds. Yeah, still cool. And that's it, just the Slain Star Master. It's Croak and Star Master. Then we've got the Saurus Old Blood on a Carnosaur. It's looking like some legacy stuff. Gained 3 wounds, that's neat. His Sunbolt Gauntlet is now actually just a gun. 18-inch range, D6 shots, 3s and 3s, -1/1 damage. His relic, so his weapons have been like just combined into one. It's a relic Celestite weapon. 5 attacks, 3+3+, -1/2 damage. 4 limbs are still variable to hit. So it's 2 attacks. And this damage table's condensed. So it's 2 attacks, and then it starts at 3s and 3s, -1/2 damage. Massive Jaws start at 5 damage, go down to 2. 3 attacks, 4s to hit, 4s and 3s, -2, and then 5 damage to start. Blood Frenzy, if any enemy models are slain by attacks, then for the rest of the battle, this unit, it's Blood Frenzy. I'd want to wound rolls for attacks made with this unit when they're Blood Frenzies because they've eaten something. Terror, you can't get Inspiring Presence within 3 of them because he's a dinosaur. And then Ancient Warlord, this unit can use the same command up to 2 times in each phase. If it does so, each command must be received by friendly Seraphon, and you don't spend command points for the second command. Meat and potatoes, but cool, heavy fighter. Is a monster. Your Old Blood, with a cool new, oh no, it's the same model. Same core stats. Flatten his damage to 2. Hits on 3s now, 5 attacks, and 2-inch range. That's cool. Because all of his weapons got just put into Relic Celestite weapons. They just combine them all together. No Fearsome Jaws as like a weapon profile. Now it's actually just an ability. He's got Predatory Exemplar, though. In the combat phase, when you pick this unit to fight for the first time, pick a friendly Saurus Warriors or Saurus Guard unit wholly within 12, and they fight after him. And then Wrath of the Seraphon. In the combat phase, if this unit issues the all-out attack command, you get an extra one. In addition to the effects of that command ability, you get +1 to wound for your melee weapons too. So he's +1 hit and wound with all-out attack. And then Mighty Saurus Jaws. Each time this unit fights, after all of its attacks have been resolved, pick 1 enemy unit within 1 and roll 3 dice. If the dice rolls are referred to as bite rolls, it's a 5+ mortal or 6+ mortal wound. That's 5+ mortal wounds for the extra ability from being coalesced, if you want it to be. So cool. He's just a basic mortal wound guy. All right, your Astrolith bearer. Astrolith. Gain nothing on his core stats. His weapon went to flat 2 damage for his war pick. It's got 4 attacks now. Still 3s and 3s, -1 rend. Fearsome Jaws are same as Mighty Saurus Jaws. 3 dice. He's a Celestial Conduit, so you can cast within 12. You get +1 to your casting rolls with wizards within 12. And then add 6 inches to the range of any spells cast by your wizards within 12. And then Revivifying Energy, you get a 6+ ward while you're within 12 inches of any friendly units with this ability. And of course, that goes to a 5+ for that one army. Scarvet, same stuff. Blood Frenzy is the same. Terror is the same. Maim and Tear, into the combat phase, you can pick an enemy unit within 1. And roll a number of dice equal to the number of wounds allocated to that enemy unit. For each 5+, take a mortal wound. Yeah, so basically, like, the more bloodied up they are, if it's a monster especially, like, yeah, that's going to be horrifying for Gargants. Mega Gargants, you're within 1 of me, and you've taken 25 wounds. So here's 25 dice on a 5+ take a mortal wound. He just climbs inside the Mega Gargant. Yeah, move goes 10, 9, 8, 7, just like the Old Blood, 3, 4, 4, 5 for the Clawed Forelimbs, and 5, 4, 3, 2 for the... Damn, the Carnosaurs are the same, basically. And then his relic weapon is 5 attacks, 3s and 3s, minus 1, 2 damage. Forelimbs and Massive Claws are the same. It's just his abilities really that change. He's pretty much the same fighter. All right, your Kroxigors, you get your Warspawn and your basic Kroxigor. I love these miniatures. They're very cool. We're getting into some other units now. Core stats, they got an 8-inch. No, they lost an 8-inch move down to a 5-inch move. Weird. They lost a bunch of movement. Your war picks. So your Starfang war pick or Drakefang war pick. 1 and 3 can have the Starfang. They're 3 attacks, 4s, 2-inch range, 3 attacks, 4s and 3s, minus 2, 2 damage, or 3 damage for the big one, which also hits on 3s. Unit champions of skinks can issue commands to this unit as if it was a skink, if they're wholly within 12. Because they just listen to their little buddies. And then heavy scaled skin, minus 1 to wound rolls for attacks made with missile weapons to target them. And then spawn a Sotek, add 1 of the attack characteristic of this unit's melee weapons if there's any friendly skink models wholly within 12 of this unit and they've been slain. So anyone dies nearby, they get mad. And then Vice-like Jaws, same thing. It's roll 3 dice for a unit within 1 for each model on a 6+ to take out mortal wound. The Kroxigors have the same core stats. They've still got their sweeping blows. If the unmodified hit for a Drakebite Maul or Moonstone Hammer is a 6, the target unit has 10 or more models. They do 2 hits instead of 1, so you make a wound roll and save roll for each one. Their weapons are basically identical, but they have some more attacks. They have 4 attacks instead of 3. So Vice-like Jaws that operate the same and still can get skink guidance, meaning they get the commands from the skinks if they're within 12. So yeah, I don't know. I feel like the basic Kroxigor, like they just do more damage at the gates. Same core stat line, same weapon profiles basically. So like, why not just keep always having 4 attacks? And then yeah, sweeping blows are just better against bigger units, which is cool. The minus 1 to wound from weapons that are shooting them is cool, I guess. And then we're into some named heroes. We get Kichitaka, the Diviner. What's changed about you? Oh, you're the new model, so you're actually not in here right now, are you? Kichitaka, the Diviner. Oh, no, you are. There you go. Your core stats are 2 extra bravery now and 1 extra wound. Your Starbolt, 2 attacks went to 3s and 3s, and D3 damage. And then your staff is now 3s and 3s as well, and otherwise it's 2-inch range, also increased. And then Servants of the Star Masters, once per battle in your hero phase, you can pick an enemy unit wholly within 6 of this unit, roll a die on a 2+. Models in that unit cannot contest objectives until the start of the turn. So only once per battle, but just turning off contesting could be huge. Your Saurus named character, Clacktrock. Clacktrock, where you at? You are actually new, I think. Yes. 5-inch move, 8 wounds, bravery 8, 4+ save. You get your Celestite Wormaul, 5 attacks, 3s and 3s, minus 1, 2 damage. You're a Savage Protector. You can reroll hit rolls and wound rolls for attacks made with this unit while they're within 3 of friendly Kichitaka. And then Bolstering Presence. Add 3 the bravery of friendly Starblood Stalkers units that are wholly within 9 inches of this unit. And Mighty Saurus Jaws. 3 dice on a 6 to do mortal wounds. So Kichitaka and the Diviners. He must have been, he's got to be in here somewhere. Saurus Eternity Warden. I'm not seeing him in the app from before. Maybe he was like a, oh no, he's there. He's an other unit. That's why I couldn't find him. That's right, because he's a Starblood Stalker. He's the whatchamacallit, the like bodyguard of that guy. And then the Starblood Stalkers are the Chameleon Skanks. Unmodified wounds of 6 for your Dart Pipe still give you mortal wounds. Starblood Stalkers, there we go. That's why I couldn't find them, because they're all divided up across these things. You get your Dart Pipes, 16-inch range, 2 attacks, 3s and 3s, minus 1, no random 1 damage, but does mortal wounds. And the Celestite Weapon is all just the same now. 3 attacks, 3s and 3s, 1 damage. It's Zepik, Wachi, Tok, and Autopaddle. So 2 models with solid-state weapons and 2 models with dart wipes. And then Sacred Duty. Before you allocate a wound or mortal wound to a friendly Kichitaka, instead of making a word save roll, roll a dice. If there's any friendly of these models within 3 of him, yeah. On a 1 or 2, it goes through, and on a 3+, it goes to this unit instead. So you can use your Starblood Stalkers. Then we got our Agridons, or used to be called Cold Ones. So we got our Saurus Stalker on Agridon. This is the big guy. And I don't think it's still called a Cold One in the old book, that's right. Core stats are extra wound changed. And they put all the weapons together, so it's a relic, spear, or club. Spear is 2-inch range, 3s and 3s, 4 attacks, -2 damage. Club is 5 attacks, 3s and 3s, -1/2 damage. And then running bites and striking talons, 3 attacks, 3s and 3s, -2 damage for the actual rider, or the actual mount, sorry. Primal Rage. You start with a Primal Rage score of 0 at the end of each combat phase. If this unit's within 3 of any enemy units, increase its Rage score by 1 to a maximum of 3. At the end of each combat phase, if this unit's not within 3 of any enemy units, reset the Rage score to 0. While this unit is a range score of 1 or more, add its Rage score to the attacks characteristic of its rending bites and striking talons. And then an Alpha Roar. Once per battle at the start of your combat phase, you can pick 1 friendly unit that has this ability on the battlefield and unleash a feral roar. And then increase the Rage score from the Agridon units wholly within 18 of this unit by 1 to a maximum of 3. So you get to power up basically and then do extra attacks. And then your Lancers. So each model in Agridon Lancers units armed with one of the following: a Celestite Club, a Celestite Spear. Clubs are 3 attacks, 3s and 3s, -1/1 damage, and spears are 2-inch range, 3 attacks, 4s and 3s, -2/1 damage. And then the rending bites and striking talons, your mounts, 3 attacks, 3s and 3s, -2/2 damage. Model in this unit can be an Agridon Lancer Alpha, and you get +1 to your attacks. Standard Bearer, add 1 to your Bravery. Musician, add 1 to your charge and run rolls. And then Primal Rage works the same way. So these are your big heavy cav. All right, Saurus Warriors and Saurus Guard. So Guard are your Temple Guard, your old Temple Guard models, and then of course Saurus Warriors are the beautiful new Saurus Warrior models. Looks like the Temple Guard are still the old ones in this book too. So Saurus Warriors. Gained wound, so they're 2 wounds each now. Core stats are the same otherwise. Clubs and spears are the same as the other mounts, so 2-inch range for spears, 2 attacks, 4s and 3s, -1/1 damage. Clubs are 2 attacks, 3s and 3s, -1/1 damage. Ordered cohorts, add 1 to save rolls that attacks that target this unit if it's contesting any objectives or is wholly within your territory. And then it's +1 to run charge rolls for your Musician, +1 Bravery for your Standard Bearer, and then Champion gets an extra attack. And then your Jaws are 1 dice per guy within 1 inch, as opposed to the 3 for the heroes and stuff. The Guard have a 3+ save instead of a 4+ save. So they basically always have the ordered cohorts, but they can also all at defense, which is cool. Same abilities for their command, Selfish Protectors. Before they attack, before you allocate a wound or mortal wound to a friendly Seraphon hero that's not a monster, or instead of making a word save roll for a wound or mortal wound that would be allocated to a friendly Seraphon hero that's not a monster, if it seems within 3 of that friendly unit, roll a die. On a 1 or a 2, it goes to the hero as normal. On a 3+, it goes to this unit instead. And then 1 dice for each of their jaw attacks. A Skink Starseer. So he's cast 2 and bind 2. Skink Starseer. There he is. Not Star Priest. Skink Starseer. Gained a wound, gained a save, so 6 wounds and a 4+ save. Flies, 2 attacks, 4s and 3s now, but -1 d3 damage with his 2-inch range Astromancer Staff. Actually, it's identical to how it was. It's his, he lost his Astral Bolt. He can scribe the stars still. Once per battle, roll dice equal to the number of the current battle round. For every 2+, pick a friendly Seraphon unit, and they have a 5+ ward save. And then Celestial Doom, casts on a 7, range of 12. Pick an enemy unit wholly within range invisible until the end of the turn. Ward rolls can't be made, so you can turn off ward rolls. And then your Star Priest, same core stats. Serpent Staff is D3 damage now with 2 attacks. That's cool. Serpent Staff in your hero phase, you can cast one and bind one. Pick a friendly Seraphon unit wholly within 12. If you do so, until your next hero phase, if the unmodified wound roll for an attack made by that unit's a 6, the attack causes a mortal wound to the target in addition to any damage it inflicts. And then Blazing Starlight is a spell that casts on a 6 in range of 18 inches. If successfully cast, pick an enemy unit within range invisible. Until your next hero phase, subtract 1 from hit rolls for attacks made by that unit. And then finally, the Skink Oracle on a Troglodon, which is the Wizard on a Troglodon. So he gained 2 wounds. That's nice. His movement is variable, so 10, 9, 8, 7, 5, 6. So 6. If you take 6 wounds, then 9 wounds, then 12 or more wounds, you bracket. His Noxious Spittle has a 18-inch range. It fully healed down to 9 at the bottom, so it goes 18, 15, 12, 9. 3 attacks, 3s and 3s, no rend, 2 damage. And his Venomous Jaws will wound on 3s and 3s and 4s and 5s for his bites. Looks like the Venomous Jaws are the same, but 3 damage now. Clawed Forelimbs gained a rend for -1, as did the Venomous Jaws, actually. And the Divining Rod gained a to hit of 3+. Still -1d3 damage. Cast one and bind one. Regenerates. You heal d3 wounds allocated to you at the start of each hero phase. Each hero phase, not just yours. Stench of Death, -1 hit wholly within 9, or just within 9. You also cause terror, so no Inspiring Presence. If you're within 3 of them, Venomous Spittle. If the unmodified hit roll for an attack made with the unit's Noxious Spittle is a 6, it causes a number of mortal wounds equal to its damage, and then the attack sequence ends. And then finally, Primordial Mire, cast on 7, range 12. Pick an objective or terrain feature within range invisible until your next hero phase. Units within 3 of the objective or terrain feature cannot run or retreat and must have the result of any charge rolls. It has no effects on skink units or units that can fly, because you make ooze, basically. All right, actual skinks. Actual skink units. This is another battle line option, obviously. Core stats are the same. Still only bravery 5. You gotta talk to these guys, get them to stay. Javelins gained a rend, but only wound on 5s. They're 4s and 5s now, so they swapped their to hit with their 2 wound. And then 8-inch range. And then Bolt Spitter is 4s and 5s, no rend. So you're basically just gaining a rend and losing range if you want the javelins. Daggers and clubs. Daggers are 5s and 5s, 1 damage, no rend. Clubs are 4s and 4s. So basically the same. They're unchanged. Shields give you a 5+ save instead of a 6, and your champion gets extra attack for all your weapons. Just weapons, period. And then Swift and Nimble, each time this unit runs or receives the command, redeploy command, then determining roll 2 dice instead of 1 and pick the other result. That's really cool in combination with the free redeploys you can get. Your Spawn of Chotek. This appears to be a new unit. They're like your little spitty guys. You can have 3 Sun Acolytes armed with Celestial Goads, and the crew must remain within 1 of their Spawn of Chotek. And they can do multiple different shot types from their Fiery Maw. They can do a Glob of Flame Master or a Stream of Fire. The Stream of Fire, the attack characteristic of a Stream of Fire is equal to the number of models in the target unit to a maximum of 10. So that's 2+, 3+, -1 damage, and then 12-inch range. The Glob of Flame Acid is 24-inch range, 1 attack, 4s and 2s, -2 d6 damage. If any wounds caused by an attack made with a Glob of Flame Acid are allocated to an enemy unit, subtract 1 from save rolls for attacks to target that unit until the end of the turn. The same unit cannot be affected by the ability more than once per turn. And then your melee attacks, your Fiery Maw can be 3 attacks, 3s and 3s, -2, 3 damage, and your Goads are 3 attacks, 4s and 4s, 1 damage. These are your little weapon teams. All right, your Raptidons, you get Hunters and Chargers. These are your new units that are the mounts that come in the army box. 12-inch range, 2 wounds, 5+ save, bravery 5 on both styles. They're all mounts. The champions get an extra attack from your Atlatl for your basically your melee weapons, your typical Lancer, your Atlatl. And then Standard Bearers give you +1 bravery, +1 run and charge rolls for your musicians for both. The Raptidon Hunters have a Star Stone Atlatl. It's 12-inch range, 2 attacks, 4s and 4s, -2, 1 damage. So very cool, like little shooting attack. It's like a It's like a sling for a javelin, basically. It's a thrower for a javelin. And then the Moonstone Clubs, 2 attacks, 4s and 4s, 1 damage, and the Mount's Fangs are 3 attacks, 3s and 3s, -1 damage. They're the same mount stats for the Chargers, but they get Tepok Lances, which are 3 attacks, 4s and 3s, -1 damage, so a bit fighter and melee. But they also get Cold-Blooded Unity. Sorry, the shooters get Deadly Cohesion. At the end of your charge phase, if this unit's more than 3 inches from all enemy units, and within 12 of any friendly Raptidon Chargers units that made a charge in the same turn, this unit can shoot. So it shoots in support of the Chargers. If it does so, it must target a friendly unit within 3 of that Chargers that made the charge that phase. So basically, at the end of the charge phase, you guys get free shots if they're within 12 of a unit that's engaged with the Chargers when they charge in. So you get double shoot with them every turn, basically, if these guys are charged. And then the Raptidon Chargers get Cold-Blooded Unity. Add 1 to hit rolls for attacks made with your Tepok Lance. They hit on 3s if you make a charge roll in the same turn. And that target a unit that was, sorry, not if you made a charge roll that turn. It will be if you made a charge roll that turn, because they have to be targeted by shots made by Raptidon Hunters in the same turn. I guess it could be just any shooting. That doesn't have to be the extra round of shooting. And then Geomantic Empowerment. The damage characteristic of this unit's Tepok Lances is 2 instead of 1 if this unit's contesting an objective, or if it's within 3 of any terrain feature with the Arcane Scenery rule, because they charge up. They're like magic. So that's a cool little 1-2, and you get 2 units of these in the army box, so make 1 of each, and you can use the combo. And the Hunters of Huan Shi are from the Warcry box. 8-inch move. These are your Chameleon Skanks, basically. I think they replaced Chameleon Skanks, actually. I'm pretty sure, but that might be wrong. You get Dart Pipes, 8-inch move, 6+ save, 1 wound, bravery 5. They have 8-inch move, yeah. 16-inch range of the Dart Pipes, 2 attacks, 3s and 3s, 1 damage, which is way better than Warcry. And their Feeble Claws, their melee attack, 1 attack, 1-inch range, 5s and 5s, 1 damage. You get +1 to your blowpipe attacks with your champion, and you get +1 to run and charge rolls for your musician. They get Chameleon Ambush. During deployment, instead of setting them up, you can set them aside. At the end of your movement phase, you can set them anywhere on the battlefield, not within 9 of the enemy. If units on the battlefield at the end of your movement phase, you can remove it from the battlefield and say it's hiding again, so you can bamf around. So you just can't do it in the same turn. And then Perfect Mimicry. This unit's not visible to the enemy if it's more than 12 from and in cover. And then Star Venom. If you get a hit roll of 6 for your blowpipes, it's a mortal wound. And the attack sequence ends. And then the melee version with bolas, they have Moonstone Clubs, so 2 attacks, 4s and 4s, 1 damage, and then Hunter Javelin, 2 attacks, 3s and 3s, -1, 2 damage. That's in melee. Just the boss has a Hunter Javelin, I believe. The Chameleon Skank Alpha. Each model of Hunters of Huan Shi is armed with a Starstone Bow and a Moonstone Club. Yeah, and then the champion gets +1 to its Moonstone Club attacks. The musician gets +1 to its bravery. And then Huan Shi's Claw is the guy who's carrying the javelin and the shield, that's right. And then Chameleon Ambush is the same. Perfect Mimicry is the same. Star Sown Bolas, if you hit with a 6, you're -1 to hit rolls for that unit because they become stunned until the end of the following combat phase. So you can debuff with the Hunters of Huan Shi or do mortal wounds with the ones with the shots. And then your Terra Wings. You get your Snapping Beaks from your Terra Wings, which are not part of the units, I don't think. They have a 12-inch move, 2 wounds, 6+ save, and bravery 5. 4 attacks, 4s and 4s, 1 damage. They have a Nerve Shredding Screech. In the shooting phase, pick 1 enemy unit within 12 of this unit and roll 2d6. If the roll is higher than the unit's bravery characteristic, that enemy unit cannot issue or receive commands, which is super handy. And then Symbiotic Relationship. During deployment, instead of setting up that unit in the battlefield, if you have any Hunters of Huan Shi units in reserve, you can place this unit to one side and say it's hiding as a reserve unit. If you do so at the end of their movement step, you can set this up on the battlefield within 3 friendly Hunters of Huan Shi and more than 9 from the enemy. So they bamf in with the, they're tied to the Hunters of Huan Shi and bamf in with them. All right, we're into some monsters now. Bastillodon. You are a bigly fella. Oops. He is not brand new, so I can actually look him up. Bastillodon. And it looks like they combined the Bastiladon profiles into one. So you got a solar engine or Bastiladon's armed with a burgeoning tail and one of the following, either a solar engine or an Arcosotek. They have 12 wounds now and a 2+ save just built in. 5-inch move every 6 is the same. And the solar engine's 24-inch range, 3 attacks, 3s and 3s, -3 damage. So no more mortal wounds. Meteoric javelins are 8-inch range, 4 attacks, 4s and 5s, -1 damage. The Arcosotek is 20 attacks, but it's a melee weapon. 3-inch range, 4s and 3s, 1 damage, and then bludgeoning tails on both. 3 attacks, 3s and 3s, -1d3 damage. And then if the unmodified hit roll for an attack made with an Arcosotek is a 6, the target suffers a mortal wound, and the attack sequence ends. Do not make a wound roll or save roll. So the Arc of Sotek can still do mortal wounds, but the solar engine is just a gun. All right, we got our Pterodon Chief and Pterodon Riders. All right, how you change Pterodon Chief? You gained a wound. Gained a wound roll on your Skyblade and became damage 2. Razor Sharp Jaws are identical, it looks like. Still flies, still gets deadly cargo. Once per battle, after this unit finishes a normal move or run, you can pick an enemy unit within, pick one enemy unit and roll a dice if this unit was passed across by any models. On a 4+, take D3 mortal wounds. In addition, if any mortal wounds cause visibility are allocated to that enemy unit, have their movement. So basically, you can bomb them once per game. 4+, D3 mortal wounds, half move. And then coordinate attack once per battle at the start of your movement phase. You can pick one friendly unit with this ability on the battlefield and call a Pterodon attack. If you do so until the end of the phase, each time a friendly Pterodon unit wholly within 12 of this unit uses deadly cargo, it's on a 2+ instead of a 4+ for mortal wounds. An attack from on high, -1 hit with missile weapons. Pterodon Riders, I think, are gain like the same sort of like little basic alterations. They have the same core stats. Javelins are the same but gained a rend. The Sunleech bolts are flat 4 attacks now. 4s and 4s. Just 1 damage. Same deadly cargo rule. Same attack from on high. Razor Sharp Jaws are 4 attacks, 4s and 4s. Yeah, they're the same. And then it's Ripperdactyls and Ripperdactyl Chiefs. Same kind of like combo. The Ripperdactyl Chief, QRS. Gained a wound. Skyblade changed the same way, so 2 damage. And a +1 wound. Tearing Jaws, 3 attacks now, but 4s and 3s, -1, 2 damage. So it's a little fightier in melee. You get a Bloat Toad still. Receive a Bloat Toad for each Ripperdactyl Chief in your army. After the players have received the starting command points, before the start of the first turn, you can pick an enemy unit to have a Bloat Toad. For each Bloat Toad marker you have, place the Bloat Toad marker next to the enemy unit. A Blot Toad, sorry. And then Toad Rage. In the combat phase, add 1 to hit rolls and wound rolls for attacks that target. Attacks made with this unit's Tearing Jaws that target an enemy unit marked for the Blot Toad. And Swooping Dive. -1 hit rolls from attacks made with missile weapons that target this unit. In addition, if this unit is targeted by an attack made by an enemy unit with Unleash Hell, they only hit on an unmodified 6. And then Ripperdactyl Assault once per battle. At the start of your combat phase, you can pick a friendly unit with this ability on the battlefield to call a Ripperdactyl Assault. If you do so, add 1 of the attack characteristic of melee weapons used by friendly Ripperdactyl units wholly within 12. And the Riders get the same modifications. The Tearing Jaws 1 to 2 damage and 3+ to wound. Moonstone War Spears are 2 attacks, 2-inch range, 4s and 4s, 1 damage. Champion gets +1 to its War Spear attacks. Blot Toad's the same. Toad Rage is the same. Swooping Dive's the same. All right, the Venerable Stegodon, also known as Stegatron. This model is now quite old, actually, now that I think about it. He has a bravery of 8 now and 14 wounds. That's gone right up. Movement 8, 7, 6, 5. Same damage track as all the other monsters. Goes to 6, 9, and 12+. Massive Horns are 4, 3, 2, 1. It is different things. And Crushing Stomps are 5, 4, 3, 2. Meteoric Javelins. Gained a rend. Sky Streak Bow. It's exactly the same. Sunfire Thrower. Still 8-inch range. I think it works pretty much the same. Neural number dice equal to number of models in range for every 5 plus stick or mortal wound. Yep, still just a flamethrower. Your armored crest, start of the combat phase. You can pick an enemy within 3 of this unit that has up to 5 models. If you do so, until the end of that phase, add one of the save rolls for attacks made by that unit until the attacks made by that unit that target this unit. So basically, a unit of 5 models or less that's like within 3 of you, you get +1 save against that unit in particular. So you can be like a 3+ save against somebody. It's the same rule basically. It hasn't changed. Your crushing stomps that start at 5, 3s and 3s, -1/2 damage, they're the same. Grinding jaws are the same. Massive horns. Damage starts at 4, yeah, are the same. Everything's pretty much the same. Except you gain the Meteoric War Spear, 2-inch range, 3s and 3s, -1/1 damage. And then Unstoppable Stampede and Coordinated Strike. Once per turn, you can issue a command to a friendly skink unit without a command point being spent. That's cool. Steadfast Majesty. Add 3 to the Bravery characteristic of friendly skinks that do not have the Stegodon keyword and that are wholly within 12 of any units with this ability because the skinks get braver when it's nearby. And then your Stampede, 2+ D3 mortal wounds within 1 at the end of a charge. And then the standard Stegodon's basically the same. Armored Crest, Majesty, your War Party. This unit has 10 models for the purpose of counting objectives. Because you are full of War Party guys and you don't have... Oh, the Stegodon Chief was the first one. That's why I got the command point stuff. Other than that, it's the same as the command point stuff, basically. But your War Party makes you more models. And then Engine of the Gods. Meteoric Javelin's the same. Armored Crest the same. Cosmic Engine. In your shooting phase, you can say that the unit will either harness or reserve the power of its Cosmic Engine. If you say it will harness that power, pick one of the effects below and roll 2d6. If you say it will reserve it, you get to do +1 to the next time you actually activate this ability. Healing Light, 2 to 6, nothing happens. 7+ heal D3 wounds allocated each friendly Seraphon unit, wholly within 6 of this unit. And then Bolts of Aether Energy, power score of 2 to 8. This unit takes a mortal wound. On a 9+, pick an enemy unit within 24 inches and roll a number of dice equal to the power score. Every 4+ to take a mortal wound. Time slows. 2 of 10, they take D3 mortal wounds, so you take D3 mortal wounds. On a power score of 11+ until the end of the phase, the Strike First ability applies to friendly Seraphon units wholly within 6. So you want to charge this thing up, basically, and then use it at the right time. And then finally, Starlight Summons requires a 2 to 12, you take 3 mortal wounds, but on a 13+, you can summon 1 Saurus Warrior unit of 10 models or 1 Skink cohort of 20 models to the battlefield and add to your army. Can be placed wholly within 6 of this unit and more than 9 from the enemy. So you can use this as a gate, basically. And it still has Steadfast Majesty and Unstoppable Stampede. All right, your Realm Shaper engine, it's got 2 different forms. There's the Coalesced and the Starborn. So if it's Starborn, it's placed wholly within your territory, more than 3 from enemy objectives and yada yada. Same as all the other faction terrain. It's impassable unless you can fly. And then Power Unleashed in your hero phase, if there are any friendly Seraphon wizards within 3 of this terrain feature, you can pick 1 other terrain feature in the battlefield and roll a dice for each enemy unit within 3 of it. Add 2 to the roll if the terrain feature is within 18 of this terrain feature. You subtract 2 from the roll if that terrain is more than 36 away. On a 4+, take D3 mortal wounds. So you blow up other terrain. And then the Coalesced one, Fierce Guardians, add 1 to the bite rolls made by Coalesced Saurus and Coalesced Crocscar units using their Mighty Saurus Jaws ability, while they're wholly within 12 of this terrain feature. In addition, use the top row for your monsters when they're wholly within 12 of this terrain feature. So you don't want to combine this one with that one grand strategy, but you could definitely do it with the other one if you're just having it blow stuff up. And then it's just your point values. So what's missing? What have I not seen in here? So Razordons obviously are gone. Salamanders are gone. They're replaced with the other profile now. Saurus Knights are replaced with that new profile. So they're gone. Although you can just use the models probably roughly the right size. Saurus Sunblood's been replaced. I think that's it. So your Spawn Chotek are 125. They're artillery. Guards are 5 for 130. Warriors are 10 for 200. Skinks are 10 for 85. Bastillodons are 200. 650 with a solar engine. Or sorry, 265 with a solar engine. Engine of the Gods is 300, Stegodon's 300, the Starblood Stalkers are 290 total as a set. Croak is 395. The Ripperdactyl Chief is 110, Ashwith Bear is 140, Old Blood is 135. Scarvet and Agrodon is 175. Star Priest is 130, Star Seer is 150, Star Master, the Slan is 275, it's actually not that expensive. Pterodon Chief is 110. Old Blood on a Carnosaur is 285. Again, not expensive for a behemoth. These are behemoths now. Scarvet on a Carnosaur is 255. Oracle on Trogodon is 270. Stegodon Chief's 330. The Lancers are 210. Hunters of Huanchi are only 5 for 135 for the Dart Pipes. The Bolas are 90 for 5. Croc scores are 175 for 3. The Warspawn are 185 for 3, but they're Battle Line and Quettle's Claw for both of them. The Agrodon Lancers are Battle Line if your general's a Saurus. And the Stegodon is Battle Line in a Thunder Lizard army. Raptoron Chargers, Battle Line in a Fangs of Sotek army, as are the Hunters for 150 for 5 for each of them. Ripperdactyls are 120 for 3, Pterodon 120 for 3, and Terrawings are 3 for 75. So you can basically, it's funny, that Warcry box is 75 plus 225. There's 300 points actually out of that box, just crazy. None of them being Battle Line though. And that means the army box itself is roughly, because you get a Star Master, so 275. You get 2 units of the Agrodon or the Raptidons, so 300, so 575. And then you get a unit of Saurus for your Battle Line, so 775. It's almost 1,000 points. That's not bad at all. And if you have the Warcry box, you've got 1,000 points. So I can paint up this army box, basically have a 1,000 army, which is pretty cool. And that is that. That is the Seraphon Battletome from the new army box at roughly 775. And lots of ways to play the army. Again, I like that it's not restricting the Coalesced or the Starborn. Basically just 2 ways of playing the army, but doesn't really change the units you would pick. Like the combinations would change a little bit internally, but it's more of an overlay. It feels a bit more like the Stormcast overlays. It unlocks a bit of Battle Line, but not so much that like it's going to drastically change what you're going to take, right? Like it's not restricting a lot of the core abilities like earning CPPs, drain magics on both sides of the wall, all that stuff. It just kind of flavors what you have. So yeah, I'm into it. I like this book. I think it's neat. I like that they've replaced some older units with like just modern incarnations of them, and it feels like a standard 3rd edition book. So if you're excited about the new models, then this is probably a good launching off point. It's kind of like a start collecting with a book in it, and you get the handy cards and stuff too. So thanks for watching. We'll see you for more GMG reviews. Still on a MASH. Hey there, I hope you enjoyed that video. There are tons of other games already recorded for you to watch. Click over to my channel page if you haven't already, and have a look through the dozens of playlists full of videos. I guarantee you'll discover a game you haven't seen played before. I put out new videos 7 days a week, and every day is themed to a different genre as I continue to explore the wider world of gaming. Of course, none of that's possible without you, the viewer, so click a like and subscribe if you'd like to stay on top of what's happening here daily. My 2 kids and I are massively grateful to be able to have the flexibility of this job so I can always maximize my time with them. If you want to support me continuing to put out this content, it's only possible because of my amazing backers on Patreon who support the studio, equipment, and model cost, as well as being how I make the bulk of my living. You can also help out by buying a t-shirt through Spreadshirt, a measuring gauge or widget from Death Ray Designs, or buying one of my games and supplements like Last Days, Gamma Wolves, and Blaster. As a way of showing my appreciation, patrons get early access to new games and supplements that I write throughout the course of the year. Huge thanks for watching, it really does help out, and happy gaming.